I'm announcing a new policy today that I will support a tax credit for family caregivers who take care of a parent or a loved one. It's about time that they were recognized, right?
New policy, baby. New policy.
Woo! They add so much to our country and are never spoken of, ever, but they're going to be spoken of now. Thank you all very much. I'm thrilled to be back in the city I love, and thousands of proud, hard-working American patriots. You're with me. We're all together. We've always been together. And I'd like to begin by asking a very simple question. Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? I'm here today with a message of hope for all Americans. With your vote in this election, I will end inflation. I will stop the invasion of criminals coming into our country. And I will bring back the American dream. We need the American dream to come back home. Our country will be bigger, better, bolder, richer, safer, and stronger than ever before. This election is a choice between whether we will have 4 more years of gross incompetence and failure, or whether we will begin the 4 greatest years in the history of our country. We will achieve success that no one can imagine. We will have the strongest economy, the most secure borders, the safest cities, the most powerful military, the best trade deals, and we will dominate the frontiers of science, medicine, business, technology, and space. And I'm asking you to be excited about the future of our country again. I'm asking you to dream big again. We're going to dream big again. We haven't been dreaming big at all. This will be America's new golden age. It's going to happen quickly, too, very quickly. And I'm hereby calling for the death penalty for any migrant that kills an American citizen or a law enforcement officer. Kamala's gross incompetence disqualifies her from being President of the United States of America. She is grossly incompetent. All you have to do is look at her interviews, look at what she did the other night on fake news CNN. Just take a look. She couldn't answer a question. She's unfit for office. Everyone knows it. No one respects her. No one trusts her. No one takes her seriously. Everyone knows she is a very low IQ individual. From humiliating our country in Afghanistan, to the war in Ukraine, to the nightmare on our border, to her inflation catastrophe, all done in conjunction with Sleepy Joe. But he was largely sleeping, wasn't he? After 4 o'clock, it's time to go to bed. To his and her egregious hurricane response, the worst response in North Carolina and other states since Katrina, but I think it was even worse than Katrina. Kamala Harris is a train wreck who has destroyed everything in her path. To make her president would be a gamble with the lives of millions and millions of people. She would get us into World War III. We're very close to World War III. If you don't have a smart president, if you don't have a president that gets it, if you don't have a president that is respected by the other side, and they did respect us 4 years ago, they really respected us. Iran was broke. They had no money. Russia wouldn't have played with us at all. Russia would have never gone into Ukraine. Israel, October 7th, would never, ever have happened. Would have never have happened. All those people would be alive right now. Those people that were killed on that horrible day. But if you don't have a president that gets it, you know what else you wouldn't have had? You wouldn't have had the most embarrassing day in the history of our country, in my opinion, Afghanistan, the way not that they got out, we were getting out, but we were going to get out with dignity and strength. We got out, an embarrassment, the likes of which this country has never suffered. And because of that, Putin looked at us and they probably figured we were a paper tiger, and he went into Ukraine, and the rest is history. It would have never happened with us. And you wouldn't have had any inflation. We had the best economy, but we had no inflation. And inflation has destroyed a lot of seniors on fixed income, and a lot of people in this room have been virtually destroyed by inflation. You wouldn't have had inflation. They screwed up our energy, and it went up so much. And then they started spending far too much money on things like the Green New Scam, which is just a scam, just a complete scam. They actually admitted that, if you think about it. But she would get us into World War III because she's incompetent, can't do the job. Issue after issue. Kamala broke it, but I will fix it. We're going to fix it. But we're just not running against Kamala. I think a lot of our politicians here tonight know this. She means nothing. She's purely a vessel. That's all she is. When you see her up there talking about the grass on my front lawn, I grew up in a middle-class neighborhood and I had grass on my front lawn. Yeah, but we're asking, what would you do to fix the country? And why didn't you do it yet? Almost 4 years. Why didn't you do this stuff? Now she's becoming more MAGA than those politicians I just told you about from the different states. She can't put two sentences together. She's just like, she's really just like, in many ways, crooked Joe Biden. And she never said to us, she never told us that Joe was not functioning properly. She should have. Because, we're talking about the life of the most important country in the world. We need very smart people. We're running against something far bigger than Joe or Kamala, and far more powerful than them, which is a massive, vicious, crooked, radical left machine that runs today's Democrat Party. They're just vessels. In fact, they're perfect vessels because they'll never give them a hard time. They'll do whatever they want. I know many of them. It's just this amorphous group of people. But they're smart and they're vicious. And we have to defeat them. And when I say the enemy from within, the other side goes crazy, becomes a sound. Oh, how can he say? No, they've done very bad things to this country. They are indeed the enemy from within. But this is who we're fighting. These are the people who are doing such harm to our country with their open border policies, record-setting inflation, Green New Scam, and everything else that they're doing. But we're not going to let it happen any longer. We're going to have the biggest victory in the history of our country on November 5th. It's going to be the biggest victory in history. We're going to make America great again, everybody. But here are the facts. Kamala Harris is a radical left Marxist, rated even worse than crazy Bernie Sanders or Pocahontas. She destroyed our economy. She was an original creator of defund the police. Can you believe it? She was one of the originals for defund the police. And anybody who wants to defund our great police for even 1 week is not worthy of being president of the United States because that's where her thinking is. Kamala vowed to abolish ICE. Those tough people you've been looking up at the screen? They're the ones that get them out of our country. I know a lot of people right in these rows. They're very tough. They don't want any part of it. They got to go in there, fist a-blazing to move them. We had a case in Long Island where MS-13, one of the other really bad gangs, killed 2 young girls, 16 years old, walking to school. They didn't shoot them. They knifed them and they cut them into little pieces because it was so painful. Perfect, young, beautiful girls were cut up into little pieces by knives. MS-13, they're animals. And you know who took care of it for us? ICE. ICE, they had no problem. Kamala wants to defund ICE. We're not defunding ICE, right? We're not defunding ICE. We're not even going to think about it. She's never going to get the chance. There's no way she becomes president. There's no way. Radical left lunatic who she destroyed San Francisco. She destroyed, along with Gavin Newsom, the governor, who's the worst, one of the worst governors in the country. They destroyed California. And she's not going to get a chance to destroy our country any further. We're going to get it back fast. Jews and Muslims and Catholics and evangelicals and Mormons, and they're all joining our cause in large numbers, larger than anyone has ever seen in this country before, larger than they've ever seen in any country. And the Republican Party has really become the party of inclusion, and that's something very nice about that. But this is the city where I was born and raised, and this is the town that taught me that Americans can do anything when they want to. So no matter our differences, when we work together, there is nothing that we cannot achieve. From New York to Las Vegas, from Philadelphia to Phoenix, from Chicago to Charlotte, from Atlanta to Detroit, this nation was built by generations of American patriots who gave everything they had for our rights, our future, and for our freedom. Through freezing cold winters and hot scorching summers, through storms and setbacks and conflicts and danger, our American ancestors pushed onward, marched forward, and overcame every single obstacle that stood in their way. Together they crossed the oceans, settled a continent, tamed the wilderness, laid down the railroads, raised up those mighty skyscrapers, built the highways, won 2 world wars, defeated fascism and communism, and launched American astronauts to the moon. It was hardworking patriots like you who built this country, and 9 days from now, it's hardworking patriots like you who are going to save our country. After all we have been through together, we stand on the verge of the 4 greatest years in the history of the USA. With your help from now until Election Day, we will restore America's promise. We will put America first, and we will take back the nation that we all love. We bleed the same blood. We share the same home, and we salute the same great American flag. We are one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. We will never give in. We will never give up. We will never, ever back down, and we will never, ever, ever, ever surrender. Together we will fight, 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 and we will win, win, win. We're going to win, win, win.
Tell us about the energy tonight. Tell us about the major moments.
You know, Natasha, we've been to a lot of these Trump rallies, but coming into this one tonight, there was so much anticipation from people on the ground. You were talking to people, and they were even acknowledging that they had been to rallies in the past, but this was the one that they wanted to be at. New York City, Madison Square Garden, in the epicenter of it all. Some people wondered why this venue was picked or why he's spending time here as opposed to a battleground state. The Trump campaign even told us that they really wanted this to be a spectacle tonight, for all attention to be locked on New York City.
For me, I think it's the historic nature of all of this. From the very beginning, when you saw Melania walk out, a little bit of a surprise, and then you saw the two of them just taking this moment in. It's not like any rally he's ever held before, and he's had big rallies filling airport hangars. This is entirely different. Like you said, Lisa, we'll never see it again. And then just standing there, soaking it in, waving at the crowd. We don't get to see that type of moment from Donald Trump out on the campaign trail all that often. And he talked about his love of New York, the city where I was born and raised. And of course, he went on to make great highlights and plans and promises and unveiling the new tax breaks and things and promising America's new golden age. He had his plan, the message he was going to do. But it started with this moment where he soaked it all in. And I think when you look at something political, this is history, and it was worth taking that moment.